Action. Okay, this is week 9. We have 5 more weeks to go. We're still in industrial boilers. And I will leave the flame rod here because probably we will need it. So this is some of the terminology you will need to learn when you work on industrial boilers. PLC is programmable logic control. You'll hear that a lot in the industry. So I just want you to be familiar with it so you don't feel like it's a foreign term to you. PLC is programmable logic control. Pre-ignition check. So if anybody has one of those fancy cars, like a BMW or Lincoln or Cadillac or something, whenever you start the car, there's a pre-check. You start the car and everything keeps sending the signal and check. And also you can, in some of them you can do a system check right on the screen. So we're doing the same thing now for boilers, where we do a pre-check, make sure everything functions. So the control itself will send signal, check all the components before we start. If any of them is faulty, it will give you a error and it will not start. With the car, probably it will start, but it will give you a check engine light or ABS problem or whatever. So these are the pre-ignition check. And for the car, sometimes it might not start. It might go in safety. The new cars, if something really big going with the transmission or the engine, it will not start and it will go in safety. I know for some Hondas in the 2000s, if the engine has an issue, it will prevent the car from exceeding 2,000 RPM until you go see a mechanic. Also for the transmission, if the transmission is not functioning, it will prevent the transmission going to higher gear or higher RPM. So you can do, the car will still function to get you to safety, but it will try to protect the engine. A lot of cars, for example, if it's low in engine oil, it will not start or will give you an error. A check engine light will come up, or maybe the car will not start at all because they don't want the engine to seize. I know the Subarus also have an option with if the car has no oil, it will not turn on completely. So those are all safety checks, so the car will not run, you will not run the car at dangerous conditions, and eventually it will fail. So first we'll check the fuel valves that are closed. Before we start, we want to make sure everything is closed and everything in the right location. And with fuel valves, they have the on and off switch that they will know if there's a signal or not. So the system will check the fuel valves. The high and low limits controls are closed before we start. If one of them is stuck open, the system will give you an error and probably it will not run. Air dampers for the low fire and high fire in the open positions. So the air dampers will allow the air to come into the system on and off. In residential, do we have air dampers? No. The air is always open and you just sit it and leave it because there's not a lot of fire. For industrial, you need to know how much air you bring into the system. So the air damper is automatic. It goes and open. What about your car? Is it automatic or open? It is automatic. There is an air damper in your air intake or in your carburetor back in the days. You have the 2 dampers that will open and close, and also measure the amount of oxygen to adjust. Again, remember back in the days, probably you guys don't remember, but if your car was calibrated in sea level and you go in the mountains, the car will not perform and start to shake, and you have to go see a mechanic and adjust the fuel. So nobody remembers that. Yeah, they don't remember that. But the car will not perform, so you have to go and recalibrate and get the fuel and air ratio. Now there is an oxygen sensor in the air intake.
A lot of cars actually have barometric pressure sensor in it.
Yeah.
So if you go above sea level, just like that.
It will readjust based on that, and also readjust based on the oxygen level. That has to do also with the hot climate and cold climate. A car that has been calibrated in Texas will not work the same way as in New England. If it's cold, what happens to the oxygen?
More dense.
Yeah, more dense, you have more oxygen. If it's light, less oxygen. So all these things will affect the performance. So for our purposes here, probably the boiler is moving around, so it's calibrated to the region and the atmosphere and the air intake. But the air intake will change based on the pressure and also based on the density. So we want to check the air damper in the closed position, and the thing before the system starts, it will purge the system. What does that mean? It will turn on the dampers and try to replace all the air inside the chamber. Remember the ideal gas law that we talked about last class? I'll talk about it again for the quiz. But it says that PV over T equal PV over T. This is 1. This is 2. And this equation will always be the same. So if we have a big combustion chamber, this is my boiler here, and I want to purge the system. We have an air vent here. There will be some flow rate here, which is either gallon foot cube per minute or second, and this will be the volume of this chamber will be in feet cube. So based on the feet cube, based on the size of the chamber, you need to know how long should you keep the flow rate on. Makes sense? So if my chamber is, for example, 300 foot cube, and your flow rate here is 3 foot cube per minute, how long would you have to do to put that, to leave this damper, this flow rate on to the entire system? So divide hour, not 10 minutes, 30 minutes. So 300 over 3, that'll give you 100 minutes. So it's an hour or so to bridge the entire system completely. But that's too long. Usually it's around like a minute or 2. But you get the idea. There's a flow rate here, and you have to account for the volume inside empty space of the chamber. However, it's not that easy, but we'll keep it as easy for our intended purposes, just to understand what it doesn't mean. There is some engineering going on, because air, first of all, air is compressible, and air will mix in, and you're not going to purge the entire system of air. Why do we do the pre-purging? We want to make sure there is no residual gases in there from the previous fire. And you want to have the air inside the chamber at the same temperature as the incoming air. So this is some of the terminology. So pre-purge or purge system is to get all the air out. Air dampers brings in the air in, and PLC, pre-ignition check, is what it means. So the first step we have is, and those steps usually are universal, is the pre-purge. A purge cycle is the predetermined period of time during which air is blown through the furnace to remove any combustible vapor. So this is determined by the manufacturer. They will tell you this is how much time we need for pre-purging, and this can be adjustable in the control. Lincoln, pay attention. So you can adjust the time based on the size of the chamber. It could be smaller, it could be bigger, and the purpose of that is to blow air inside and kick all the residual airs from the previous cycle into the chamber. So the time for the purging is determined by the furnace size and procedures. How long do we have to purge it? But again, it's a function of the size of the chamber and the flow rate coming in. Again, we can make it longer or shorter based on the insurance codes, or what the requirement for the gas, density of the gas, and so on. Is natural gas heavier or lighter than air? What do you think? Huh? Natural gas is heavier than air, so it stays lower. So as you're purging the chamber here, let's say there's some gas in here. You will have some kind of a swirl in here, and the air will keep purging, mixing up and going out. And this is air. So there's mixing going on here, and a mix of air and gas coming up. Okay, so it's a mixture of things. Second step is lighting a pilot. Write these tips because I'm going to ask you about these repeatedly. So inside here, there is a small pilot light. It lights up similarly to what we have for oil burners. And first we try to light the pilot before we dump a lot of oil in there. We want to make sure there is enough fire inside. We want to have fire and not just an ignition. So we light the pilot. The pilot has its own valve, its own tray. Make sure the valve for the fuel pilot is open, ignition is turned on, similar to residential burners. So imagine that you have a small light there before you turn the on fuel. Question?
Aren't pilot lights usually always lit up?
No, not for industrial, no.
Situation?
Once it's off, it's off. And also it depends on the design, but for most industrial boilers I've seen, you always have to light the pilot. Step 3, proving the pilot flame. That's when we make sure that the pilot flame is on before we turn on the main flame. That's very important because you don't want to turn the main flame oil and there's no fire. That will be a big issue.
How many steps are there?
5. So same, a flame sensor detects the flame that is on and send the signal to the control if the flame is on, and you will see those tips when we wire one of those controls. It will tell you pilot is on, so we're good. Then we can turn on the flame, main flame. So the flame sensor can be any type. Usual flame rods is for gas. Well, that's something Dave, I think you forgot to say. It's only for gas. You do not use flame rod with oil. Why?
Because the oil is having the gas, and the oil is just gonna put out the flame.
That's one thing. What else?
Different materials in the oil.
What does gas have better than oil?
Efficiency.
Efficiency. What else? Thinner. What else?
Cleaner. Right?
Cleaner, which means what? No soot. Soot will accumulate in the flame rod and will prevent those little nice ions to interact with the flame rod.
Clog it up too.
Yeah. So, flame rod is only gas. Write these down, you'll need to know them. Photocells for fuel oil. UV can be for both, for infrared and for both. So those two are specific. And fuel oil can be different grades. How many fuel oils do we have? For number 2 all the way to number 6. Number 6 is as heavy as honey. We have number 6 here. I've shown you before. This is number 6. This is fuel oil number 6.
So it's pure out of the well?
Huh?
This is pure from the well?
No, it's still purified. But look how heavy it is. It has to be heated, has to be pressurized, and sometimes they mix it with other stuff. Don't get your finger. If you do, go wash your hands.
It's not pure. It's almost like there's no.
This is heavier actually than what you get from the well sometimes. So it's the residuals after you eat all the stuff out.
Oh, man.
Okay, please don't drop it.
Don't switch inside.
Huh? Okay. So, you know when you have oil coming from the oil rig, so you get the oil from the ground, it goes into a pipe, and I'm going to be really simplified. You have a big distillation column. So at the bottom, this has a lot of fire.
It gets rid of the bad stuff.
So first of all, you capture the gas and you liquefy it into LPG, liquefied petroleum gas. How do you liquefy it?
Heat to it.
Heat,
No, it's gas already. You want to liquefy it, make it
or
liquid.
condense it, make it colder, or reduce the pressure.
Thank you. two things, either you cool it or reduce the pressure. Depressurize it's gonna turn to liquid. So it's going to be LPG, you capture that in the well, oil, well. Okay, the liquid, you capture the liquid and goes into a distillation column, and this has a lot of fire which evaporates the oil. At the top, you have your naphtha. Then you have kerosene. That's fuel oil number 1. Fuel oil number 2. That's diesel. Then you have number 3, 4, 5, and 6. 3, 4, 5, and 6. So what you have in this bottle is number 6, so it's the heaviest thing in the bottom. We'll try to use all of it. Naphtha is broken down into gasoline. So if you have, you know those Zippo lighters?
Yeah.
That's what they have, naphtha. So naphtha is basically gasoline.
Yeah, it is different than a regular,
Gasoline.
from butane.
Yeah,
Yeah.
butane is gas. So liquefied petroleum gas. So this is basically the amount of oils we have, and we can burn anything in that oil. So number 6 that is the one you have. It's very heavy. We can still burn it, but we want the other products too. And again, LPG going to petroleum gas. Okay, this is something really interesting. What do you think you get plastic from?
Hydrocarbons,
Yeah, but which part of that becomes plastic?
way at the bottom, below the number 6.
No, that's what I thought too, but I was wrong.
It's the top.
Yeah?
Yeah,
It's the lighter molecules?
it's got the gas.
But what are they bonding it to make it a solid?
They make, you know how you make cotton candy?
Jello?
Sugar.
See cotton candy being made?
What's it made, but I don't
Quick.
know.
So they take the gas and they synthesize molecules out of the gas and make plastic in different chains. Polymers.
Just heated up
Yeah.
sugar.
Like
Cotton
the same thing with the
candy.
So yeah, the sugar, they heat the sugar, you evaporate the sugar, then you make it into strands.
Yeah, yeah,
So the same thing how they make polymers. So it comes from LPG, from the gas. I didn't know that until I went to visit the petrochemical plant.
So that's just a giant distillation stack and they're grabbing the different things off
Yeah.
at different heights?
So this is a lot of heat, and whatever you distill here, a different temperature,
Yep.
it pours from the
How
outside.
tall is that?
Huh?
How tall is that?
It depends on how much, it's
Is
very
it
tall.
wrap it in a coil to?
No, it has
to-
to be straight up. You have to, if you see this.
No, I'm saying, do they wrap that chamber in cooling coil? Do they control it, temperature?
Yeah,
Overall.
but there's a lot of heat distribution here, and there's a lot of heating plates going in there. So it's very involved procedure, but just to help you understand what is the difference between oils, and I think it's valuable information to know what is it, why is it heavy and why is it light, and where each product comes from. This is simplifying a really huge process to something really simple. Step 4. Is lighting the main flame. We have a flame now. Main flame. So after the main flame, after we have a pilot, we have the main gas valve open up. Another flame picture will monitor the main flame process, usually a flame rod or something that will take a lot of heat because it's going to be a lot of heat. Then we close the pilot because we do not need the pilot anymore. And the only flame in the boiler is the main flame that will burn out and for as long as we need. The flame is not proven, the system will shut down quickly. How fast does it shut down? Huh? No. Less. 3 seconds. Less than, between 1 and 3 seconds. You gotta be less than 3 seconds. That's for because the main flame is a lot of oil, so make sure it's always less than 3 seconds. Question.
Is that supposed to be lit or lit?
LIT. Don't sniff it, man.
I sniffed it too.
He's a sniffer. Oh, it's okay. I love it.
How about taste it?
What's the case? Yeah.
Don't. He took it out of the cup. You're supposed to look at it, don't you?
seconds are.
Next time I go to the oil company, I'll bring some samples from all the fuels. It's very interesting. It's very interesting to see all the different oils.
The thickness and stuff.
Thicknesses and also the quality, how easy does it absorb, how easy can you get it. And you know in Canada they have something called what? In Canada.
Again,
Montreal, working the Montreal.
What is it called? Tar gas? Tar oil?
Yeah, that's all you're talking about.
Anyway, it's very, very heavy,
Yeah.
so you have to steam it to get it out of the rocks. Anyway, oil business is very interesting. And everybody is done with this?
Is that because it's so cold over in Canada?
No, just different kind of oil formation. Of course, all the oil in every country is different based on the composition of whatever hydrocarbon was there, whatever dinosaur was there. T-Rex's group oil is different than the other tyrannosaurs. So it's different everywhere, it's not the same. But at the end, it's all hydrocarbon, formed over millions and millions of years. We run out of all the easy extraction oil. The one that's easy to come out and very light is done. Now there's like different ones that you can get. Okay. 5, activate cruise control. So automatic control. So once the main flame is detected, the programmer continue to monitor the signal from the flame scanner using pressure control. So we'll monitor the flame. And why are we using the pressure control? Because we are producing steam. With those high pressure boilers, our goal is to get some pressure, some steam. So steam pressure is monitored, so we do not exceed the pressure. If we exceed the pressure, probably that's when you burst the vessel. So we activate the main flame, and now the whole thing is off. In a lot of cases, when you shut off, there's an extra step. After you shut it off, is post-purge. That's when we're done with the system, we'll shut off the flame, shut off the valve, then we pump in some air to make sure it's letting out all the gases. So this is a picture of a cutaway of a small, I think it's an HB split. We have 3 of those actually in the back. You can see them. We have those controls. And we have this flame, and is this fire tube or water tube?
Fire tube.
It's fire tube. See the gas is coming from here, going through the tubes and coming out of the back. So this is gas, this is fire tube, and the water is going swishing around those tubes in here. This looks a lot like a residential oil burner, right? Just bigger. And some of them actually have 3 nozzles. 3 nozzles, and you can turn 1, 2, or 3, so you can have different settings, low, medium, and high. And it has a control here that will do the pilot. You have a pump for the pilot. It's very important. I can show you in the back. And relief valves, we have 2, in case one fails.
Almost looks like a
Pressure sensors.
cat right there too, right?
Yeah, it's pretty involved. But again, this is probably at least like 500,000 BTUs. And every once in a while, you will open, every year, you open this top and you go and clean all the tools. So every summer, when you don't need steam, you open the back and clean it. The cleaning is done chemically and always done mechanically. Chemically means you put some chemicals to dissolve the salt, or mechanically use brushes. So why do we have a lot of accumulation in the pipes? Because water has salts in it. It's not pure water. So eventually it will accumulate some salts and calcium, and sometimes also it oxidizes.
But do you ever use like distilled water for that purpose?
They do treated water, but you're still going to have some accumulation over time, and also you have some oxidation. But if you took the power plant, probably you went to a shelter where they do chemical treatment for the water.
I'm pretty sure you said that the heat makes it where it makes it where you don't have to treat the water. Like in the
No, you have to treat the water because you want water that doesn't have a lot of calciums in it, a lot of salts, a lot of sodium. Yeah. So scale is always an issue, and so that's why you have to treat the water. So that's why every power plant has a water treatment plant to reduce, take the salts out so it will not accumulate in here. Eventually, you will have some. And the other thing is you don't want to have pure water, distilled water, because that will be not good for the metals, because that will make the water more susceptible to absorb stuff, so it will start oxidizing your boiler. So there's a balance in there. And every day and every time you shut down, there's a blow down system. But whatever water is in there will go to the blow down, which is like, okay, we're gonna push all the water in the boiler and replace it. You see the water coming all rusty. And those tubes, after a while, they have a cycle time where they get replaced. So that's why you see power plants have a lot of maintenance and a lot of preventive maintenance, PMs. They actually have a department for the PMs to do preventive maintenance. So working in the power plant is very involved, and yet is very necessary. Step 6 is the post purge. I said 5, but it's 6. The post purge is a purge that occurs after the burner. Why? To clean the combustion chamber from any residual gases or any backfire or like coming back air from the outside. So you want to make sure it's clear, make sure it has no air in it, I mean no fumes. So that's step 6, which is post purge. Okay, what else? Everybody got that? Combustion control systems. So we regulate fuel, air supply, air-fuel ratio, and draft. I want you to think of your car, if you're a car person, when you think of high-pressure boilers. Because your car is very sophisticated, especially the new ones, they have a lot of controls, even though it's small. We control all these things. We control fuel, we control air supply, we control air and fuel ratio. We don't do that, but there are systems that do it. We also control the draft. And what is the best, I'm gonna say that again. When you accelerate your car, what do you control?
When you do what?
Air.
When you hit the gas, what do you control it?
Oh,
The fuel.
Airflow.
Yeah. So it's easier to control the fuel than to control the air. In residential, what do we control? The air, because the fuel is constant, either it's on or off. We don't have ratio. So for us, we regulate the fuel, and the air supply will follow. That's for machines like industrial boilers or cars. You control the fuel, and the air will calculate itself automatically. There's something called air-fuel ratio damper that will open and adjust the air based on the fuel. So in order to provide the required steam, it is good to start with low fire, then ramp up. Like for example, if you're going to start, if you're going to cruise on a highway for 60, you're not going to go from 0 to 60 in like 3 seconds.
It's gonna Tesla.
Yeah.
Those things accelerate very
The new
well.
one's crazy, he's saying.
Is it illegal to accelerate?
I don't know.
No,
He's
it
saying,
depends if you do it in a dangerous fashion.
he's saying the new one is 1.9 seconds.
So what's the point? Like, how can I enjoy that then if I can't accelerate this fast?
You can.
Well, has
You
it
can't
stopped?
make any noise, you can't like make it a disturbing thing, you can't move back.
That regulations?
Yeah. I mean, I do it all the time.
I heard your bike going around.
That's
so-
being a
Yeah.
Ferrari and all that shit.
One day you took off and I heard the whole building shakes. I understand. It's okay. But I appreciate that. Can somebody explain to me how come like bikes do not have regulation on the mufflers? Why do they have to be
Oh,
so
they
loud?
do. It's the same thing, the way it's worded is that it has to be like a nuisance, it has to meet certain decibels. And for them to prove it in court, once you start explaining it to the officer, they'll walk away.
Unless they put these things on their mufflers to make them sound like Kawasaki's and it's retarded, but out here it's illegal.
My neighbor had a chopper, and every time he go and turn on his
Yeah, I
car,
walked that one down the street.
the whole building shakes. The whole. Come on, man. So it's good to start with low fire, then ramp up, and we want to also improve cycling. So again, what does your cruise control do? When you go and instead of hit the cruise control on 60, you see the RPM goes down, and try to like make it regulate the fuel so it will stay at 60. If you go uphill, it will increase the fuel a little bit. If you go downhill, it will hit the brakes sometimes. Control the on and off.
Better to drive like that too. Saves gas.
All right, that's all I have for this class. I'll finish the rest in the next class.